All right, so now we're going to be getting into motherhood and fatherhood, parenting, shared parenting, not assigned labor. Toxic patriarchal dynamic. The old model overlooks mothers and sidelines fathers. Moms become default caregivers. Dads are providers at a distance. The result, mother burnout and father-child emotional gaps. Conscious and healed dynamic. Parenting is shared covenant. Fathers are present, loving, and active. Mothers are supportive to maintain identity and capacity beyond motherhood. Spiritual insight. Parenting is soul work. Healing lineage wounds. Balanced parental roles model integrated masculine and feminine for the next generation. All right, so now we're going to get into red flags and green flags. And this is where my research is. This isn't going to be as structured, but there's a lot of information in here. And so I'm going to just go through it. I'm not going to edit anything. I'm not going to reorganize. It is what it is. So red flags, toxic masculinity and parenting. He's just babysitting attitude. I don't know why we say that the fathers are babysitting their own children. That is a terrible attitude to have. Avoiding emotional closeness, only enforcing discipline. That is a toxic masculine in parenting. Using work as excuse for absence. Toxic femininity in parenting, martyrdom and self-abandonment in the name of doing it all. Guilt-tripping children or partner to gain control, refusal to accept help. Green flags in healthy parenting, shared responsibilities with flexible negotiation, both parents emotionally available and active. Respectful co-parenting decisions and mutual support. Community and extended family involvement are always needed. Now, I need to put some lip gloss on because, like, I've been this way since forever and I feel dry. All right. Now I feel better. All right. So this is one of the biggest areas where patriarchy shows its hand in parenting. For centuries, patriarchy told women you belong in the home raising children. At the same time, it told men you provide, but you don't nurture. You don't feel, you don't get involved. That division didn't just harm women, it robbed children of balanced parenting. It robbed men of the chance to nurture, and it left women carrying the entire load of raising the next generation. I don't understand why we cannot comprehend that our children, men like to say, you know, they're my legacy when they're not actually actively involved with their children. I know a lot of men are going to say that women withhold their children. That could be the case, but a lot of the case, that isn't the case. That is a deep topic within itself. I have heard both sides of that, but really in all reality, it's just a huge problem. Men are not as involved as they should be. The science of parenthood. So we're going to get into postpartum realities. I know men don't want to hear this, but it is a reality for women. After birth, a woman's body goes through massive recovery. Basic healing takes at least 6 weeks just for the physical recovery, but honestly, it takes up to 2 years. Most women will tell me that it took them a good 2 years to heal physically, mentally, and emotionally. A lot of that is due to lack of sleep from feeding around the clock. Postpartum depression affects 1 in 7 mothers, linked to hormonal shifts, sleep deprivation, and lack of support. Patriarchy often ignores this, dismissing mothers' needs as weaknesses. Women are pressured to bounce back physically, sexually, and emotionally while still healing. Father involvement. Research shows children with actively involved fathers do better academically, socially, and emotionally. Fathers who bond early lower maternal stress, and strengthen family stability. Yet patriarchy historically kept fathers at a distance, telling them nurturing wasn't masculine. So I know that this is very triggering for a lot of men because they think that, I don't know, it's just such a crazy dynamic. It's women truly want help with their children. It really is so deep-seated in men that they are not the nurturers, that they cannot see that for what it is. So I suggest you sit on that for a while and truly think about, rather than being upset at the mother, think to yourself, are you pouring in more money right now into your own retirement or your children and family right now? That's a good spot to start. Ask yourself, really think about this. Do you, as a man, do you have the password to your retirement plan? Yes, most likely. Do you have the password to your children's medical and educational profiles? Probably not. Have you downloaded the app for their education and medical profiles? Probably not. And then after that, you need to create a password and username and check in on all of that. So are you active in that, or do you care more about your retirement? That's a huge thing that's a good place to start. All right, so takeaway. Science proves what patriarchy denied, that both parents are needed, and shared parenting creates healthier families. I'm just so sick of everyone being mad at each other. This is just so deep-seated. All right, so toxic parenting roles, red flags. What does patriarchy's parenting script look like? Instead of blaming each other, really think about this patriarchy thing. The mother is expected to do it all: feeding, cleaning, teaching, soothing, while also managing the household and her career. The father is emotionally absent, only providing financially, not relationally, and normally that's just with discipline here and there. So, yeah, it's a huge red flag when the man thinks it's only his responsibility to contribute from afar financially and then in discipline every now and then. That is just such a toxic way to think of things. Discipline becomes authoritarian. Father knows best. Mother's voice is dismissed. Women are shamed for struggling postpartum instead of supported. Men weaponize provider status to avoid emotional labor. This is toxic parenting, unbalanced, exhausting, and unsustainable for everyone. Integrated parenting roles, green flags. A healthy family looks very different. The mother is honored for her role in childbirth and recovery, not pressured to carry everything at once. The father provides, yet also nurtures, changing diapers, soothing at night, and being emotionally present. Parenting decisions are shared. Neither parent silences the other. Postpartum care is prioritized. Mental health check-ins, recovery time, and practical support. Children see both masculine and feminine energy in action, structure and nurture, protection and compassion. This is integration, parenting as partnership, not patriarchy. Now, I honestly have listened to, it's not only that I'm masculine, I've surrounded myself with men most of my life. I also have found myself up until the last 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, that I listen to pretty much solely men educationally here on YouTube and everywhere else. And so I've heard so many men talk about it lowers their testosterone to be around, children. That is such an excuse to not be there emotionally or be present during the first 2 years of a child's life. Is so difficult. So difficult. It is so freaking difficult. And they just refuse to help hardly. And it's due to what? Because your testosterone levels drop? Like, are you not thinking about the woman's side of, like, her body has changed forever. She's literally, like, recovering from extreme trauma to her body through childbirth. Like, it's very, very entitled, one-sided. Men are not supposed to help care for children. It's just like the men aren't supposed to cook, and just these roles that patriarchy has provided for us, it's so detrimental to everyone. To everyone. It really truly is. You're shaping society itself through raising children. The spiritual dimension. Spirituality, parenting is about modeling balance. Masculine energy, protection, guidance, teaching boundaries. Men, are you teaching your girls boundaries? It's a good question. You know, women are just solely taught to care for everyone besides themselves. Like, it's taught in religion. It's taught, like, everywhere. It's so... Don't teach your children to be pushovers. Teach them boundaries and who they are. I don't understand why that's so difficult. Feminine energy, nurture, intuition, emotional attunement. When both energies show up, children learn to balance their own masculine and feminine within. But when patriarchy suppresses one, children grow up missing half of themselves. Motherhood under siege, history. So we're going to get into the witch hunts and midwives. In medieval and early modern Europe, midwives and herbal healers were often women. They carried knowledge of birth, fertility, and medicine. But during the witch hunts of the 1500s and 1600s, tens of thousands of women were executed as witches. Why? Because patriarchy feared their authority. By criminalizing women's healing, patriarchy transferred control of childbirth from women to male doctors and priests. Motherhood was stripped of its power and independence. See, now a lot of, women, I don't know, women passed their wisdom through talking to each other. It was more of a storytelling, verbal communication. Women talked verbally to each other. Women talk more. And so this wisdom and information was passed on verbally. And men, they tend to use law, writing books, to cement their own ideas and rewrite history and how things should be. And so we've lost so much. We've really lost so much wisdom. Legal suppression. Until the 20th century, fathers had automatic custody rights. Mothers had little legal standing. In many cultures, women couldn't even decide how many children to have. Contraception was banned, often by religious law. Cultural note, in Catholic Europe, motherhood was idolized, but only in submissive form. The Virgin Mary was praised, while real mothers were silenced. Single mothers were punished, shamed, and even institutionalized. So it's really wild to me how single mothers are shamed to this day, and single fathers are propped up on a pedestal, even though they don't hardly even have a relationship with their children. Why standards matter in parenting. The hypocrisy on every level. So what does this mean for women today? It means you have to protect your motherhood with boundaries. Don't let a man disappear emotionally under the excuse of providing. Don't take on 100% of the child rearing load. That's not partnership. Protect your postpartum recovery. Your healing matters as much as the baby's care. Don't let religion, culture, or guilt shame you for needing help. Integrated parenting doesn't just protect you, it builds stronger children and healthier families. Patriarchy designed parenting to exhaust women and emotionally stunt men, but integration restores balance. Motherhood is not servitude. Fatherhood is not absence. Parenting is polarity and action, structure and nurture together. Next, we'll look at work life, the arena where patriarchy built the boys' club and taught women to shrink themselves, but where integration can create new models of leadership. All right, so work life, from boys' club to human-centered leadership. Toxic patriarchal dynamic. Work culture rewards hyper-competitive, ego-driven behaviors and penalizes collaborative, empathetic leadership. Women face pay gaps and promotion ceilings. Men are trapped by always-on expectations. Conscious and healed dynamic. Healthy workplaces value results and humanity, empathy, flexibility, mentorship, and inclusion. Parental leave and flexible policies are normalized. Spiritual insight. Work balance with soul restores meaning, moving from exploitation to stewardship and service. Some toxic masculine red flags at work: dominating conversation, ignoring diverse input, workaholic, badge of honor, and shaming the rest, excluding women from networks and decision making. Red flags in the toxic femininity at work: undermining colleagues through gossip or passive manipulation, overworking to prove worth, avoiding boundaries, internal competition that plays into systemic scarcity. Green flags: healthy work culture, transparent career paths and pay equity, respect for work-life balance for all genders, leaders who practice empathy and accountability, mentorship and sponsorship programs uplifting underrepresented people. Money. So now we're going to get into money. Money, power, provision, and protection. From provider pressure to partnership prosperity. Now let's talk about money, because if there's one place patriarchy has worked hardest to keep women powerless, it's here. For thousands of years, wealth, property, and inheritance were controlled by men. Women were told, you don't need money, you'll be provided for. But here's the trap. Dependency always equals control. Patriarchy made sure money was the leash. But when women reclaim financial power, money becomes something else entirely: protection, legacy, and freedom. So, the science of money and equality. Now, I'm going to take this into science with gender pay gap. I personally have not experienced this. I experienced the pay gap with calling off of work to take care of my children. That is my pay gap that I see. And then the father's not wanting to provide because I don't know why. I can't really tell you. I've raised my 15-year-old daughter on my own. Back in that day, it was like $40 per week to support a child. The economy is crazy. That doesn't even cover lunch money, hardly. So, yeah, the pay gap, I personally haven't experienced it, but it is statistically still a thing, I am told. That is a more kind of negative, closed-minded way to look at it. What I'm seeing personally, honestly, not like personally, but online, I have seen many, many, many women open up their own businesses. They are making more money, for like 40 to 45% making more money than men. That's also a fact. So, I don't know. I'm going to read through a little bit of this, but in a more open, positive thinking or reality, it's reality. A lot of women are making their own money through their own businesses, and they're educating themselves on, having multiple streams of income. And so, you can look into Mina Arfan if you're wanting to look at the business money portion of the feminine. She has 2 channels. One is Universe Guru that deals with relationships. But then her other channel, I can't remember. It might just be Mina Arfan, Mina, and then Irfan, Mina Arfan. She talks so much about the feminine aspect of business building, wealth, and containing that as a woman. I highly suggest you look at her. I've been watching her for 6-7 years now. And so money is actually becoming more feminine. And what I mean by that is women are making more money now and surpassing a lot of men. So this gender pay gap is kind of closed-minded, and I do feel more positive because women are now making more money than they ever have before. So just keep that in mind. All right, so I don't even know if I really want to go into this portion, to be honest. Over a lifetime, this gap costs women hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we're talking about, I think within actual society, there's like an 63, does that say 63? 63 cents. So all right, let me just read this. Globally, women earn about 20% less than men for the same similar work. Now, this is more like mainstream jobs rather than being an entrepreneur and creating your own wealth. Just keep that in mind. So in the US, women earn about 82 cents for every $1. That was in 2024. For women of color, the gap is even worse. Black women, 63 cents less, and Latino women, 57 cents less. Personally, I don't see that, but it's still a thing. Over a lifetime, this gap costs women hundreds of thousands of dollars, money that could have gone into savings, investment, or retirement. The gap exists not only because of direct discrimination, but because of systemic factors. I think as a culture, we've really worked great in this area, but it's still there. Job segregation, women are clustered into lower paying fields. I mean, a man will be like, oh, well, that was their own choice. And it's like, yes, but you also have to think about the patriarchy, the education system, religious system. Women typically are teaching, they're nursing, they're in a service, helping. And I understand that, which, yeah, that is kind of a woman thing. Men dominated high paying industries like tech and finance. So I think a lot of that has changed. Motherhood penalty, women's pay often stalls or declines after having children. Now that is true. Fatherhood bonus, men's pay often increases after becoming fathers. They often get promoted. See, that this is where it's like single moms are like shamed, and then single fathers are like raised in the hierarchy of their career. They get promoted more. I don't understand that. Negotiation backlash. Women who ask for raises are more likely to be penalized socially, while men are rewarded. The post-divorce, post-breakup gap. After divorce, women's household income drops by an average of 30%, while men's drops only about 10%, and men typically recover faster. Why? Because women often keep primary custody of children, which means higher expenses and less ability to work long hours. Child support rarely covers the actual cost of raising children. Women end up spending far more out of pocket, while men often rebuild wealth quicker. Personally, I am dealing with that right now in my own life. I've been dealing with insane legal battles. I'm not going to get into that here, but yeah, when you, as a woman, you need to really think about this. Having a child, is a huge decision that you need to make yourself personally. You are giving up your body, your life, your wealth, a lot. Children are great, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you not to have children. I think it's it's the most wonderful thing that's ever happened to me. But you need to realize, certainly to pick the right man, and most men will tell you what you want to hear. And so definitely pay close attention to red flags, and like literally don't let a man talk you into having a child because they want one. Make sure it's coming from your choice of wanting one, because it is the hardest thing you're ever going to do in your life, is raising a child. And a lot of men these days are not going to want to provide. It's unfortunate. All right, so the retirement gap, women retire with 30 to 40% less wealth than men. Causes: lifetime wage gap, career breaks for caregiving, more income spent on children and household expenses. Women live longer, an average of 5 to 7 years, but often with less wealth to support those years. And depending upon how stressed their man makes them. This leaves many older women vulnerable to poverty, especially after widowhood or divorce. The compounding effect: lower pay equals less savings, more caregiving equals fewer career opportunities. Divorce, more responsibilities, fewer assets. Longer life, more years to cover with less money. I feel like men really have an out regardless of, they're mad because they say that women get half of whatever when they divorce. Women supposedly get half, and, that's really never the case. Men make more money normally, and they're going to pay less in, I don't know, with my own personal experience, like, I have 2 children, and the fathers were totally opposite. One has totally been disengaged her entire life, so I've completely supported her. And the second father has been battling like an absolute wild animal, and God, I just don't really want to get into that here, but it's a personal experience, and men really truly only care about their money. They're not going to want to pay child support. They're going to be fighting more for the child support than anything else. And just seriously keep in mind the economy we are in. It literally takes like 2.5 incomes to raise children in this day and age, and it is going to be the battle of your absolute life. That's a tough one. It's really, really, really a tough one. It just depends on just depends on the man. But it even see now I've noticed the men that don't fight in court are the same as the men that fight in court. I mean, you're spending less in legal battles, but in the same breath, from either of those dynamics, you're never going to get the actual money that it costs to raise a child. Keep that in mind. I'm going to leave it there. Toxic money matters. Red flags. This is what patriarchy teaches about money. Men control finances and women just trust them. Women do unpaid domestic labor while men hold the paycheck. Men push for 50-50, not to share fairly, but to avoid providing while still enjoying wife benefits. Women are shamed for wanting prenups as if protecting themselves means lack of love. Now, I don't know. I support prenups, so I would definitely say that everyone should have one. I don't know. Men hide accounts, debts, or assets, leaving women unprotected. That's not partnership, that's financial control. Integrated money patterns, green flags. I've talked to so many women about their money, how they split up their household finances, children. I've talked to so many in-person women on these dynamics. And yeah, it's a rough one. All right, so integrated money patterns. Money decisions are made transparently, no secrets, no hidden accounts. Now, honestly, to protect yourself, my suggestion is to always you can have a joint account, certainly, that will help, but also always have your own money. Now, that is kind of hypocritical because, that's kind of like a red flag for the masculine, but honestly, both parties, in my own personal opinion, should have their own separate accounts. No one should ever be totally reliant upon the other person. A man provides structure and stability. A woman contributes discernment and stewardship. Prenups are normalized, protecting both partners and any children. Retirement savings and investments are planned openly together. Now, gosh, I've had so many issues. A lot of men won't tell you how much they make, and they will be putting tons of money in their retirement rather than providing for your children and yourself. It is just such a problem nowadays. This is money as protection, not control. Legacy, not leverage. The spiritual dimension. Spiritually, money is energy. It flows where intention goes. Patriarchy framed money as power over, one person holding control, the other dependent. Integration reframes money as power with shared abundance, protection, and security. Masculine and feminine energy meet in financial partnership. Money stops being a chain, it becomes a shield for both. History. Women shut out of wealth. Ancient and medieval. In Greece and Rome, women could not own land or sign contracts. Wealth passed only through fathers and husbands. Ow, I just hit my shin. Ouch. God, I need to get comfy here. All right, so sorry, excuse me. All right, so in Greece and Rome, women could not own land or sign contracts. Wealth passed only through fathers and husbands. In medieval Europe, coverture laws erased a woman's legal and financial identity when she married. Her property, wages, and inheritance became her husband's. 1700s to 1800s, women could sometimes inherit property if unmarried or widowed, but marriage erased those rights. Dowries and bride prices reduced women to financial transactions. Legal reforms. 1848, United States, New York. Married Women's Property Act. Wives could finally own property in their name. 1882 in the UK, Married Women's Property Act, same rights extended in Britain. Early 1900s, women slowly gained financial independence across Western nations. Mid 1900s to present. 1963 in the United States, Equal Pay Act. 1974 U.S. Equal Credit Opportunity Act. Women could open bank accounts, mortgages, and credit cards without male co-signers. 1974 is when that happened. 1975, France, women allowed to work without a husband's permission. 2018 in Saudi Arabia, women gained the right to drive into some financial independence. Cultural note. For centuries, women weren't just excluded from wealth, they were the wealth. Their labor, their fertility, their bodies were economic assets controlled by men. That mindset still echoes today whenever women are told not to worry about money or to let men handle it. Why standards mattered in money. This is why women must set non-negotiable standards when it comes to money. Don't accept unequal pay. Advocate, document, and demand fairness. Don't depend entirely on a partner. Keep your own accounts, investments, and retirement plans. Don't skip the prenup. It's not a lack of trust, it's protection. Don't fall for the 50-50 myth. If you're carrying children, cooking, cleaning, and emotional labor, 50-50 on bills is not fair. It's exploitation. Don't wait to invest. Even small amounts compounded over decades creates real security. And also think about multiple streams of income. Get money educated. Money is not just about lifestyle, it's about power, protection, and legacy. Patriarchy made money the chain around women's necks. But when women reclaim it, money becomes the shield. It secures your standards, your family, and your future. And now we move into the final arena, lifestyle and daily living. I do want to put a little side note in here. Because money is becoming more feminine, more women are making more money. We have definitely, we are at a place in our lives where we hold money, we have bank accounts, we have careers, and we are actually like catching up to men in our money making. Where was I going with this? I can't even remember. I just totally lost my stream of thought here. I totally lost my stream of thought. It was important too, and I totally forgot. Oh well. Alright, it'll come to me later. Let's see. Alright, so actually I'm going to extend this a little bit more. Why standards matter in money. This is why women must set non-negotiable standards with money. Don't accept vague financial roles in marriage. Define who pays what, who saves what, and who protects who. Or who protects what. Don't ignore retirement accounts. Start them, fund them, and keep them in your name. Remember, women live longer, but retire with less. and not always necessarily. If your marriage is an absolute mess, you're going to age out faster. Don't skip. I already said all that. All right. So, man, I was going to say something. It was important. All right. Toxic money patterns. A couple more here. All right. So, men control the finances. Women just get an allowance. Women do unpaid domestic labor while men hold the paycheck, creating invisible inequality. All right, I think I scrolled up too far here. Yeah, I did. I already said all this. I do definitely apologize, and no, I'm not going to edit this. Okay, toxic patriarchal dynamic. This is what I was going to get into. All right, men pressured into sole provider identity, feeling their worth is only in a paycheck. Women excluded from financial literacy, denied resources, or taught dependency. Money used as control. He pays, he decides. Result, men feel crushed by performance. Women feel powerless or trapped. Conscious and healed dynamic. Money reframed as shared energy and stewardship. Men still carry primary responsibility for provision, but women are empowered to create, manage, and multiply. Financial teamwork builds trust, legacy, and options. Women learn making money is not masculine, it's a wise stewardship and protection of your future. Spiritual insight. Masculine structure, earning, protecting, and providing, plus feminine abundance, multiplying, stewarding, and resourcefulness equals prosperity. When women step into health or into wealth creation, they aren't collapsing polarity, they're expressing divine feminine multiplication. Like the archetype of the queen, she receives multiples and distributes wisely. Money equals neutral energy. Patriarchy coded it as masculine. Healing is reclaiming money as human. How women overcome patriarchy in making money. Financial literacy as protection. Learn investing, budgeting, wealth strategies. Patriarchy kept women financially naive, so they'd stay dependent. Knowledge equals freedom. Multiple streams of income. Don't rely solely on a man, a job, or one stream. Create abundance through entrepreneurship, side projects, and investments. Legacy thinking. Build wealth for children and future generations, not just survival. Ownership, assets, and savings are shields against patriarchal traps. Prenup is power. Frame prenups not as distrust, but as stewardship, protecting what you've built and ensuring legacy security. Time standards. Don't let a man waste prime years financially or biologically. A man who delays, withholds, or avoids planning is not protecting your future. Emotional boundaries. Don't let men destabilize your emotions. Patriarchy thrives when women are distracted in drama instead of building wealth. Protect your peace equals protect your productivity. All right. All right, so here I know I'm kind of repeating myself, and I already apologized earlier for that. I plugged in a crap ton of information, and I just want to get this out. Red flags in money. Toxic masculinity with money. Controls money to dominate decisions. Hides income or financial truth. Ties identity only to earning. Neglecting family or emotional labor. Delays timelines. Ignoring women's fertility and financial windows. Red flags in the toxic femininity with money. Financial dependence with no literacy or planning, overspending as manipulation, avoiding money conversations or outsourcing all responsibility, moving in before marriage and tying finances prematurely. Green flags and healthy money flow. He leads with provision and protection, but invites her voice in financial planning. She multiplies resources, invests, and safeguards the legacy. Transparent financial communication, budgets, accounts. And prenups, multiple streams of wealth creation, not dependency. Emotional peace protected, no financial control through drama. All right, now we're going to finally move on to lifestyle and daily life, reclaiming the everyday. All right, patriarchy doesn't just live in politics, money, or marriage contracts. It lives in everyday. It's in who cooks dinner, who remembers the dentist appointment, who gets to rest, and who's always on. Lifestyle might seem small, but it's actually where patriarchy hides. Because if it controls your everyday rhythm, it controls your entire life. The science, everyday inequality. Globally, women do about 2.5 times more unpaid care work than men. This includes housework, childcare, elder care, and invisible planning. Economists estimate this unpaid labor is worth trillions of dollars annually, more than many national economies, yet it's invisible in GDP. Let me repeat this. This is real. Okay, so unpaid labor. The science of everyday inequality, unpaid labor. Listen, globally, women do about 2.5 times more unpaid care work than men, including housework, childcare, elder care, and invisible planning. Economists estimate this unpaid labor is worth trillions of dollars annually, more than many national economies, yet it's invisible in GDP. Time poverty. Because of this, women experience time poverty. Less leisure, less rest, and less recovery. Men, even when working full time, still spend more hours in leisure every single day on average. And then beauty standards, whatever. It's kind of whatever with me, but we'll touch on it. Beauty standards, women spend significantly more time and money on appearance than men. The global beauty and diet industry is worth over $500 billion, fueled largely by women being told they are never enough. Men face appearance pressure too, but not on the same financial or psychological scale. Health and burnout, the double shift. Working outside the home and doing most of the domestic work leads to higher burnout, stress, and chronic illness in women. Men, on the other hand, often neglect health under the pressure to prioritize work, leading to higher rates of preventable disease. A lot of men will not go to the doctor at all, because it's not masculine. Taking care of yourself, it's not masculine. Self-care is only feminine. Self-development is only feminine. Do you see a freaking pattern here? You can't go to the doctor because you're asking for help. That's not masculine. But you know what? Guess what? If you don't love yourself, you can't love other people. If you don't care about your own health, you're not going to care about your children's medical education. It goes so deep. It's ridiculous. Like, it's freaking immature. Takeaway: the little things, chores, beauty routines, household management add up, and they tell the story of who carries the invisible weight. Toxic lifestyle patterns, red flags. What does a patriarchy lifestyle look like? Red flags here. Women carry the majority of housework, childcare, and emotional labor. Don't freaking forget the emotional labor, which can take more of a toll than physical. Even when both partners work full-time, men feel entitled to more rest and leisure, while women feel guilty if they sit down. Beauty becomes a burden, women pressured to spend endless money, time, and energy to be presentable, while men are praised for bare minimum grooming. Family rhythms are centered around men's work and convenience, not women's needs. Emotional labor is invisible. Women remember birthdays, pack lunches, manage the calendar without acknowledgement. This is how patriarchy survives, not just in law, but in lifestyle. Integrated lifestyle patterns, green flags. A balanced lifestyle looks different. Housework and planning are shared, not just chores, but the mental load. Both partners get rest and leisure, no guilt, no imbalance. Beauty and self-care are chosen, not demanded by outside pressure. Daily decisions, meals, budgets, routines are made in partnership. Children see both parents modeling everyday contribution, not one constantly serving the other. Integration turns the invisible into visible and fair. The spiritual dimension. Spiritually, lifestyle is where polarity becomes practice. Masculine energy brings structure, routines, protection, and planning. If women are doing all the structured routines, planning, financing, that's extremely women. Side note, women right now, I keep calling myself very masculine, which I am because I do a lot as a mother, as a career woman, as multiple businesses woman. I'm very masculine, but that's very healthy masculine. I'm taking care of business. I prioritize, my children, for God's sakes, who can't actually prioritize themselves. Like, that's very masculine, and it's okay to be very masculine as a woman. We're actually very healthy masculine. Put that into perspective. Feminine energy brings flow, warmth, creativity, and intuition. Patriarchy distorted this by saying feminine does everything at home, masculinity only works outside. But integration says both energies exist everywhere. Structure and flow belong in every part of life, from cooking to finances to play. History, patriarchy in everyday life. So we're going to go through some history. Pre-industrial era. In agrarian societies, men and women often worked side by side in fields, markets, and crafts. Household labor was shared because survival required it. Industrial Revolution, 1700s through the 1800s. Men left for waged work in factories. Women's labor at home, raising children, cleaning, sewing, cooking, became invisible and undervalued. Homemaker became the default identity for women, even though they often still worked in factories for lower wages. 1950s domestic ideal. Western culture glorified the happy housewife. Ads sold women appliances to keep them in the kitchen, while selling men cars and tools that symbolized freedom. Magazines and religious teachings reinforced that women's role was to serve at home while men worked outside. Religious influence. Catholic and Protestant teachings framed women as keepers of the home, drawing from Proverbs 31, often twisted into a script for unpaid labor. Men were framed as breadwinners, their worth tied only to outside work. In many faiths, women's unpaid domestic labor was spiritualized as obedience and service. Cultural note. Even today, when women make up nearly half the workforce, they still do the majority of housework. Patriarchy survived the legal reforms by retreating into the everyday, the chores, the beauty pressures, and the invisible expectations. Why standards matter in lifestyle. So what does this mean? It means that every day must be renegotiated. Don't carry the whole domestic load. Share chores and the mental load equally. Don't let beauty standards drain your peace or your paycheck. Choose what honors you, not what patriarchy demands. Don't shrink your leisure. Rest is a right, not a luxury. Don't let traditions or guilt scripts convince you to serve without balance. Because the small choices add up to the big picture, if your daily life is unbalanced, your whole relationship is unbalanced. Patriarchy doesn't just dominate through laws or money. It hides in who does the laundry, who cooks the dinner, who remembers the birthdays. And that's why integration matters most in the everyday, because it transforms the smallest routines into balanced partnership. We've walked through dating, engagement, marriage, parenting, work, money, and lifestyle. Now it's time to pull it all together. One final recap of red flags, green flags, and why protecting your standards is the only way to break patriarchy's script. All right, so the science Oh, wait, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. I got to scroll down here. I don't know why I accidentally double. All right, so here, oops. Oh, no, it's me. It's my finger again. Gee whiz, where'd it go? I totally screwed this up. Standards. Okay, here we go. Standards recap. So we're recapping it all. All right, so number 1. Don't propose as a woman. Masculine leads, feminine selects. Don't move in before marriage. Wife benefits are for wives. Don't do 50-50. Marriage is not roommate math. It's 100-100 in complementary roles. Don't let men waste your time. Protect your fertility timeline and life trajectory. Prenup is a must. Stewardship protects you and any children or legacy. Don't let men bait your emotions. Real men protect your heart. They don't feed on drama. Time and biology matter. Women's fertility window and life timing are real. Standards guard future options. Standards preserve worth. When you hold standards, you prevent being relegated to a backup plan. Standards protect energy. They prevent emotional depletion from unnecessary limbo, drama, or performative relationships. Standards shape culture. Each woman holding healthy boundaries shifts norms for others. It's generational. Standards are self-love. They are acts of respect to yourself and the people who genuinely belong in your life. All right, so now we're going to recap the 7 arenas: dating, engagement, marriage, parenting, work, money, and lifestyle. Dating red flags: breadcrumbing, confusion, and wasted time. Green flags: clarity, consistency, protecting your peace. Engagement red flags: endless limbo, no wedding date, playing wife before marriage. Green flags: purpose, timeline, covenant, preparation. Marriage red flags: 50-50 traps. Obedience demands, no prenup. Green flags: 100-100 partnership. Shared decision making and legacy building. Parenting red flags: we have absent fathers, exhausted mothers, postpartum neglect. Green flags: shared parenting, emotional presence, and honoring recovery. Work red flags: misogyny, exclusion, cold, disconnected leadership. Green flags: authentic women's leadership as well. Empathy, collaboration, not just hierarchy, and balance. Red flags: unequal pay, financial secrecy, dependency. Green flags: transparency, protection, wealth building, and legacy planning. Lifestyle red flags: unequal chores, invisible emotional labor, and beauty pressures. Green flags: shared labor, chosen self-care, and equal rest. Naming the inequalities clearly. The pay gap. Women still earn less, about 82 cents for every dollar a man earns in the United States. For women of color, it's even worse. Over a lifetime, this gap drains hundreds of thousands of dollars from women's wealth. Pay gap, add in calling off work for sick children. The divorce gap, and as well as women having the children most of the time and spending more money on the children, which is less for retirement. The divorce gap: after divorce, women's income drops around 30%. Men's income drops only about 10%, and most recover quickly. Why? Because women often keep primary custody and more expenses while men rebuild wealth. So definitely, certainly, before you have children or get married, certainly think about men rebuilding themselves more quickly, financially, everything. It's real. Jesus. Take that into consideration. Like, one failed relationship is going to, like, literally set you back, especially if you move in with a man, especially if you don't get married. And even if you do get married, you're going to be set back at least 5 years. I mean, it's, especially if you have children, it's going to set you back multiple years. I will put it that way. Men are going to rebuild because they have more time in order to do so. They prioritize themselves, they hoard money, they put it into their retirement. It's facts. Unpaid labor. Women still do 2.5 times more unpaid work at home, cooking, cleaning, childcare, emotional planning, worth trillions if counted, but invisible in economics. Beauty pressure. Women spend far more time and money on appearance. The beauty and diet industries profit from insecurity, while men are rarely judged at the same scale. These are not accidents. They are the legacy of patriarchy designed systems of control dressed up as tradition. Why standards are everything. Patriarchy thrives when women lower their standards. When they accept limbo in dating, delay in engagement, exploitation in marriage, silence at work, dependency in money, and overwork in daily life. But every time a woman sets a boundary, she disrupts the script. Every time she says, no, I won't play wife without being one. No, I won't accept 50-50 when I'm doing 80% of the work. No, I won't stay silent about unequal pay. No, I won't shrink my rest or my joy. That's how patriarchy is dismantled. Not in one big revolution, but in thousands, but in 1,000 daily standards. The bigger truth. Let's not forget, patriarchy doesn't only harm women, it also traps men. It amputates their ability to nurture. It tells them leadership must be domination, not service. True leadership is actually service. It pressures them to overwork, distance from family, and shut down their emotions. Integration is what heals both. Because masculine and feminine were never meant to compete, they were meant to complement each other. Structure and flow, provision and nurture, protection and discernment together, not against each other. So here's the invitation. Protect your time in dating. Guard your standards in engagement. Demand covenant, not convenience in marriage. Honor your body and healing in motherhood. Lead authentically at work without silencing your strengths. Take financial protection seriously. Prenups, savings, and investments. Reclaim balance in your everyday life, because unpaid labor and unequal rest are not love, they're exploitation. Patriarchy may have written the old script, but you get to write the new one. And that script is about wholeness, masculine and feminine in balance, purpose and peace working together. Thank you for walking through this journey with me. If this resonated with you, share it, talk about it, live it, write in the comments your experiences on any part of this video. Because real change doesn't start only in laws or systems. It starts in your choices, in your boundaries, and in your standards. When you protect your standards, you don't just protect yourself. You build legacy. You show the next generation what integration actually looks like. And that is how patriarchy ends, not just in history books, but in daily life. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to probably, what am I at, an hour? I don't know if I'm going to stitch this all together or do 2 parts. I'm not really sure what about that yet. But anyways, so this was a really large video. It had a hell of a lot of truth bombs in here. Yeah, I definitely want to hear from you. Like and subscribe. Feel free to comment. Definitely feel free to share this with your closest loved ones, friends, whatever the case may be. The next video is going to be from a more spiritual lens. I don't know if I still have that old typed out script or not, but I'm going to redo that. So certainly have at least 30 videos made. I kind of sidetracked here, but I think it was insanely important. So be a part of the conversation, be a part of the movement. This is not about hating each other. It's about loving each other, understanding the truth for what it is, and hopefully bringing more clarity to everyone's lives. More love and clarity for sure. All right, I'll see you in the next video.